Welcome to the next episode of 15 Minutes in the Basement. This episode is brought to you by Skateboarding.
And longboarding.
Same genre.
Yeah.
This is Nick.
Merrill here with you.
Yes, you are with me. I love your introductions. They're so dumb. So, anyway, skateboarding. This is a topic that doesn't really hit home currently because I don't do it much anymore. But back in the day,
Well, I'm looking at a longboard right now, and I need to put some grip tape on that one.
yeah, thanks for gripping it for me.
You're good. You're good.
15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. So he's got this wonderfully drawn Nixon artist. He did a huge mural on the bottom of a longboard, and he let me hang it in my room while he was away.
Was it just hanging in your room, or was there more to the deal?
Well, that's the next step. In order for me to have the right or the honor to display his artwork
No.
room.
To take my artwork to school.
Oh.
In order for you to have the honor of taking my artwork to your school class,
Right.
and get out of class hour credit for drawing.
I assisted with that artwork
Where?
on the white part. You had me fill in the white part.
Did I?
Yeah, where you didn't finish the artwork.
Whatever.
So I did assist with the artwork, but the deal was I would grip tape this board, and I never, ever grip tape this board. It's still to this day
Before I left
is not.
home, I wrote on the back of it, Merrill, grip it.
Grip it.
And I came back to get the board, and there it was, ungripped.
The artwork was immaculate. It wasn't harmed.
Yeah, he didn't hurt the art. But...
Yeah, I didn't mess with it. There was no grip tape. So our longboarding journey, I started out skateboarding. I think you didn't touch the skateboard.
We both started out skateboarding.
In California?
No.
Is that what you're going to say?
The first time I touched a skateboard, it was in California, yes.
Yeah.
I stepped on it and fell flat on my back, knocking the wind out of me.
Yeah, we're talking about this 80s board with just the kick tail, flat front, with the plastic guards on the back and the rails on the side, plastic rails.
But the first skating I actually ever did was on a deck that was from a kid in our neighborhood. We called it the Heathinator.
The Heathinator. Yeah, that was a longboard deck, right?
No, dude. It was an
old 80s board.
Old 80s
yes,
board.
Yes.
And he left it by our house, and we started skating it, and it got broken.
Yep.
So we cut a new deck, and I put stickum, the stuff that you put in the bottom of drawers.
Right.
Anyway, I put stickum on, and it was a piece of crappy plywood. Put stickum on it, and I drew a Ranker from Star Wars on the bottom, and then I went and got shingles from a house that was being built, and glued the shingles onto the top of it to fix this board that we'd broke.
I remember that now. Yeah, so we had one of our very close friends. His brother had a longboard, and everyone knows what a longboard is, but this was literally on the very front edge of longboarding. Nobody even knew what they were. We'd never seen one, and he's cruising.
This is like 94.
Yeah, he's hauling down the hill on a longboard, and we see it. We've got to know what it is.
How can you move that fast and not worry about hitting a rock and dying?
Your wheel just stopping right on the spot when you hit a rock. So we were just infatuated, but we went about it in an interesting way. Our grandfather has a wood shop with all the tools for building,
whatever,
basically cabinetry, anything. He's got all the woodworking tools. So we went with our father and we told him what we wanted. It's just a big long board. So he had never seen one. He didn't know what he was doing. and he just grabbed a big bucket, like a normal sized
5-gallon
bucket, and traced it on a piece of wood. And on the back, he took a smaller, like a paint bucket or something smaller, and traced that as the front and back rounded edges of this longboard. This thing, we called it
the club.
The club, because it looked like a caveman's club, and the front was just huge. And the problem with the club was its shape. First of all,
its shape.
Then, second of all, we used old 80s skateboard
Where
hardware.
did we get those skateboard hardware?
From the
Heathinator.
From the Heath.
After the one that I made snapped in half.
After the shingles gave way.
Yeah, after the shingles.
After the board got shingles and died, we took the hardware, the trucks, the wheels, and put them on the new club, the club longboard. And we'd go to the top of this hill. We had a very smooth...
It was steep and smooth.
It's a smooth ride, this hill. We rid it. We rid it.
We rid it.
We rode this hill all the time. It was a great longboarding hill. We take the club up to the top of there, and it just stops.
It stopped on the hill.
What's the grade on that hill? It's got to be like...
It's steep.
Yeah. I would say 8.
Yeah, at least an 8% grade.
I mean, it's steep. And that board stopped.
But the
you had
bearings,
to push.
The bearings were original on the...
and
the wheels were hard, and the trucks were garbage.
So that was our first longboard, and we all tried it. We all tried to push it down that 8% grade, and its grade was an F minus.
It sucked. It just sucked.
So I picked up a skateboard from a skater who lived in a basement apartment near our home. It was the board was old. It was trash. He'd been grinding. It was a Think board. He'd been grinding the board itself. The trucks were heavily grinded. He was very good. And so, of course, we were all kind of in awe of his presence and greatness.
No, the other thing, to give you some credit for buying it from a second hand from this guy after it had been thrashed for way too much money, there was no skate shops.
No, there weren't.
There were no skate shops anywhere.
Yeah, you'd have to have a car and some serious money to get skate equipment. This was before the skateboarding boom. We were on the very edge of this. I mean, this wasn't the cool thing to do. We got into skating, longboarding right on the front edge in our area here in Utah, right?
No, when we were walking around with our longboards, everybody's like, what is that
what
thing?
What the freak is that thing? Nobody knew what it was. So, I mean, we were on the front edge of this sport. So I got this crap board, and I paid a premium for it. I think I paid like $80. No, I didn't pay over $100. It was like $80 for a totally thrashed board. I knew it would have been like $150.
Okay.
So there was no deal being had here. But
it felt like $200.
To me, it felt like
your whole life.
Once I found out how much it was really worth, it felt like someone kicked me in the nads. He took advantage of this little kid. This guy probably went and bought a new board, laughing all the way to the skate shop. But yeah, that was I had my first skateboard, but I couldn't skate. I didn't use it, and eventually gave it away to someone for some longboard related items, right? But we longboarded everywhere. Before we could drive, it was our transportation. And I think we moved around our area more than any other child. You know, some kids have their little bikes and they ride around the neighborhood to their friend's house. We were going
30 miles
a day.
Like, yeah. I remember there was a day that I put over 42 miles on my longboard. 42 miles. And we don't live in a flat area. So we're talking uphill and downhill. Downhill was the best.
Right. You always want to do the uphill first. And luckily we lived in an area that was in a depression. It's like on the bottom of a bench area where you go uphill wherever you're headed. So when you're headed home at the end of the day, after going 25 miles, 30 miles, you're just cruising home.
Yep.
So yeah, we did, I would say in a week, 7 days, I would say at least 5 of those were spent solely longboarding outside of school and schoolwork.
And during the summer, it was all day long. Like, we'd leave in the morning and come back at night.
Right.
And we went everywhere. And Not to mention, but the in our own area. But when we got our longboards, we went to New York, and we literally longboarded in every state we passed through.
Kansas was boring.
Oh my gosh.
We hopped out and did
Nebraska was also extremely bad.
for
Flat
the area
and nothing. But man, in some of the back east hills were gnarly. Remember
yeah.
Remember that the back of that hill, and we were skeleton on our stomach, and I put my shoes down, and I had to roll my toes up into the shoes because the shoes disintegrated.
We were hauling down that hill. If someone would come up the hill, we'd be dead. We hit hills almost immediately, and we were too dumb to know we were almost killing ourselves every time. And we did some really crazy stuff. I think probably the fastest I've gone on a longboard. I don't think we were the top tier of longboarders around the globe, but I would say I probably hit 40, maybe 45. And that's a skeleton.
I got clocked on one of those police scanners stand things, trailers that they parked. I got clocked at 42.
Right.
And that's not the fastest I've ever gone. So I know that I'm pushing 45, 50. I don't know. 50's kind of pushing it, but
50, I don't think. Yeah.
But I know 45's not.
We were moving.
Yeah, we were hauling.
You get some speed. And I think scooters may be a conversation that we do in another podcast. But,
yeah, they need to be on a separate podcast.
But I had a little Honda Elite 80cc scooter, and I put a rope out behind that scooter with a PVC pipe on a loop. So it turned into a ski rope. And I would pull people downhill, full throttle, wide open, on this little scooter. We would hit 45, almost 50, and I'm pulling them, no slack. I'm pulling them downhill. We did that all the time. I would pull people around town on my scooter. I would just,
so one of our buddies is super crazy. So we had a whole crew, 6, 7 longboarders.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, he had me pull him on my scooter, and I was going 55 miles an hour, and then he pulled and launched himself forward in front of me. So yeah. I don't know how fast he got going, but that kid's a nut.
Yeah, we had some really crazy hills. There was one that's
claimed lives.
Yes.
When longboarding craze really hit, this hill, multiple people died on this hill.
I remember one that had a 90-degree S curve on it. So you hit a huge hill, and then you had to take a 90-degree turn,
and then another
followed by a 90-degree turn down another major hill. So left, right, in rapid succession on 90 degrees on both of those turns. And the first time that our craziest friend tried it, he actually had his back wheel spin or slide out from under him and biffed it down the side of this S turn. And the second time, he never quit. He was just an idiot. Second time, he took it full speed. He
anticipated this.
He anticipated, yeah. He reacted in accordance to that wheel slide and made the turn and down the second hill. So there's some crazy story. And we didn't wear helmets. We were just dumb.
I did wear a helmet that one time that I hit that big crack and I smacked my head.
Yes, you did.
And it was your helmet.
It was my brand new helmet you stole.
Yeah, but it saved my life. And then the next week you stole my hat and concussion Bob your head on we built a cool skate park. We don't have enough time to talk about it, but we had our own skate park at the end of the dead end, and he messed up my brand new hat. It was a Think hat.
Yeah. I did a trick over a gap between two boxes, and then the third box out is where my head met the corner. There's a lot of longboarding and skateboarding stories that we talk about. I think we should have another session.
Maybe we should have another session because you want to share some of my stupidity. Anyway, so we'll talk more about this on the next 50 Minutes in the Basement.